why do you feel like this is something that is worth like the time to talk about and for our listeners to maybe think more about?
We also kind of have this other narrative of like 30 is the new 20 and like we should feel great. Like we're fine. Like it's our parents that we need to worry about. It's like the older generation that we need to worry about. Like we can worry about all our stuff later.
I think it's going to hurt. I'm scared of what I'll learn.
The paperwork, the people at the front desk sometimes are rude. Then like finding parking and like getting there on time.
When most of us tend to seek medical attention, it's because there's a problem. There's like a need that we have rather than it being more proactive and living a full and well life is put together, authentic.
We feel it.
Take care of ourselves. Hello, and welcome back to the Wishing You Well podcast, where we help you navigate your wellness journey each and every week. I'm Amy Albero.
And I'm Catherine Van Eyck. We're both licensed therapists, simplifying all things wellness for you on Wishing You Well. In this episode, we're making the connection between making your doctor's appointments and taking care of yourself. Who out there makes those appointments regularly to begin with? And even when you do, what makes it so difficult and why do we procrastinate it so often? Amy and I will be talking about the significance of making and keeping these appointments, our personal experience with it, and more.
Yes, I'm so happy that we're talking about this, and lots to say for sure. So we will get into it. But before we do, we of course have to check in about self-care and, in general. So how are you, Catherine? How are things? How's your self-care?
Self-care is, I want to say it's kind of minimal at the moment, but like in a fine, I'm okay with that kind of way, just because things in life are really chaotic and crazy right now. So my one big but like mini self-care while things are so chaotic is that, well, I guess a little background. So for my birthday, which was recent, you know that, I got a gua sha. And I've been wanting to do this for so long. And so now I like incorporated it into my nighttime skincare routine. And I kind of have no idea what I'm doing, but like I watched a couple of videos and now I think that I'm a gua sha queen over here doing it every night. And yeah, so that's been it. Like I've just been like doing these different gua sha. I'm like moving for anyone listening. I'm like pretending like I'm using my gua sha right now on my face. I've just been doing these different gua sha techniques on my face, like after putting on my oil, which I'm still
Mhm.
doing, after putting on my oil, and then potentially, draining all the lymph, whatever from my face.
Yeah, I was going to say, remind me what the benefits are. It's lymphatic drainage, right? As one.
Yes.
And
Okay.
that,
So
yeah, go
that's
ahead.
part of the funny part is that I got it. And then I was like, wait, I forgot like what this does and why I really wanted it. So then I asked one of my friends who I was like, you will definitely know. I asked her and she had this great explanation all about lymphatic drainage and what lymphatic drainage does and how it's just like helps you with immunity and just like helps with blood flow. And it could potentially help with wrinkles, which like my birthday just turned 30. So I'm noticing those wrinkles a lot more that they're smiley ones, but still they're still there. So any prevention will be very, very welcomed.
Mhm. Well, your skin looks great.
Thanks.
It
But
does
we're
look
over
glowy
here.
as well.
The oil, the oil, and now the gua sha.
That's great. And so, like, how long does that add to your like evening skincare routine or your evening routine?
Um, Honestly, it doesn't affect it much at all. I mean, like maybe it adds like 3 minutes, but I also
Mhm.
don't know if that means I'm doing it wrong because I'll do like 10 strokes this way, 10 strokes that way, like up the right side of my face to the left side, to the neck. I don't know. Now I feel silly. Like I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up and be like, give me the gua sha expert, not this person on TikTok.
Well, you've started, so that's
I
good, and
started.
you
I
feel good
started.
about it. So maybe we don't know if you're getting the full lymphatic drainage benefit, but you're getting some benefit, and
I'm
that
getting
counts.
something. What I did know was that my skin type was better to have a jade one versus like
Hmm,
a rose quartz one. Don't
cool.
ask me, don't ask me why. I already forgot. But that's why. That
I
I
didn't
did
even
know.
know that was a thing. So
There
that's
are
good
also
to know.
metal ones. There's like a ton.
Wow. Could have a whole episode deep dive on this.
Probably.
Yeah.
Find our gua sha expert. Anyway, how about you? How are you? How's your self-care?
I have a different self-care activity that I'm excited about, which is so I don't know how much it's come up on this podcast, but I was an athlete growing up. And so I
Can
like,
you no, can you elaborate? I just want you to brag for a moment. You were
no.
an athlete growing up, and
Uh-huh. And
what sport? What kind of accolades did you
oh,
have in
sure.
this, Amy?
You're embarrassing me. Yeah, I played volleyball in high school, but I played my primary sport was softball, and I was a pitcher, and I was all state and all FCAC, which is Fairfield County Interscholastic Athletic Club, like rated. So I was quite competitive in softball. So like the
You're really good.
idea of stop it. The idea of like doing something competitive like definitely energizes me. And I haven't really gotten into like tapped into that muscle in a while, like from a fitness perspective. And so as I've shared recently, I joined Orange Theory back in the end of January, and they have um a big event coming up actually this weekend called Dry Try. And this is kind of a one of their like big signature events where it's a um 2,000-mile row, a 300 body weight reps on the like weight floor, and a 5K on the treadmill. And so I signed up for it, and I'm really excited about it. Like there's part of me that feels nervous, but I think I'm also like I think I could do it, and and I'm excited when it comes back around in the fall to see like my progress. And so I feel like I haven't had like a something I was necessarily like training for in a while, and it brings like greater intentionality to my workouts, and like is giving me something yeah positive to focus on in the midst of things being stressful. So that's kind of a self-care activity slash treat event that's coming up soon.
Oh, I love that. We never talk about self-care as it relates to like kind of like I don't know, just like channeling this other side of you that's like this competitiveness that you're talking about. Kind of this
Mm-hmm.
like drive and this like eagerness and this desire. Like you're tapping into something that we actually don't really talk about too much here.
No, and it feels really good. It feels like, and again, I'm not competing with anybody other than myself,
Mhm.
which I think is at a place in my life that it feels like really healthy for me, and that it just feels good. I feel like I have really enjoyed like seeing what I'm capable of. And I think that's where it really feels like self-care is like kind of letting myself getting out of my own way and like seeing where I could maybe push the boundaries of my comfort zone a little bit more. And that's yeah, so like leaning and viewing it as self-care from that perspective.
Wow, that's really interesting. I I do want to ask because I know you just said that you're competing against yourself, but
Mhm.
like at Orange Theory, they post up the splat points. They have
Mhm.
people like ranked with their whatever those splat points and stuff.
Mhm.
How often are you looking and how often are you like trying to beat other people?
Oh, and beat other people? No. I mean, there was I really truly no.
Really?
Like there was a, like I don't even look at my own splat points really.
Fair.
I like it's helpful to monitor like which zone I'm in, like to know like where I can maybe push myself a little bit harder in a particular part of the workout. But the only place or only time that I find that I glance at the board and see like where other people are at is if I like on Monday I felt like, oh gosh, like I've only earned 3 splat points. Like, is this me or is this like the workout? And so I like looked at the board and I was like,
Okay.
okay, like I'm like pretty much in the same pack, like in the same space as everybody else. Like, and so for that purpose of like just checking myself a little bit. But no, I'm never like I earned the most because we're like we all are so different, not only in terms of our fitness level, but the splat points are related to our heart rate, which is related to our age and our, fitness, all of that stuff. So it's just not fair to compare.
Okay.
Though when
Oh,
Chris joins, he gets really competitive. Not with
with
me per
everybody?
se,
Oh,
yeah, but with everybody. But he will, and I think in a way that's health. healthy for him where he'll see what pace I'm running on the treadmill and like want to match that or things like that in a way that's more encouraging, not like, screw all you people. I'm better than you, like that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, so, like, when you are, like, right next to somebody on the treadmill or right
Mhm.
next to somebody on the rower, are you at all, like, peeking and looking like, "Alright, how many miles per hour are they doing?" Like, I know when I've gone to Orange Theory or I've gone to Barry's or, like, any
Mhm.
one of those ones where you are right next to people in those rows, like, I'm not gonna lie, I look over and, like, if some dude is at 11 miles per hour on their sprint and I'm at,
Mhm.
like, 8 or 9, I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
trying to get up there. But, like, I use it in, like, a positive way,
Yeah.
not in, like, a, "Oh, shit, I suck," but, like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes, sure. But sometimes that's motivating.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I really try not to look, although sometimes like when I more tend to look if I'm next to someone who seems like they're maybe running at a similar pace as me, like like their total mileage on the treadmill versus mine. Again, more to just say like how did I stack up here? But there have been times where there's like a where you're running a bit and then like you achieve a certain distance and then you row and then you run and there's one person that I'm often with who's so his fitness level is like aspiring, inspiring, and he like lapped me like 3 times and I'm not very slow, but like he was just that fast and that did like create a more of a sense of urgency, like, maybe I'll just, like, bump up my speed a little bit more. So, like, I tend to use it for good rather than evil, not like I suck, but more like, "All right, well, let me just try, like, let me just see." So,
Okay, so, like,
that's
it's more
been fun.
experimental.
Mhm. Yeah.
Nice. Ooh,
So,
okay, well, I'm excited to hear how that goes. I
I
actually was
know.
gonna check in with you about your Orange Theory because you've been going for a while, you
Yeah.
have talked about it a decent amount, like, you're clearly
Yes.
liking it.
I love
Yeah?
it. Dry Try, which is this Sunday, will actually coincide with my 50th class.
Well, nice.
So that's also been a cool thing to like I've done this 50 times. That's cool. So I'm loving it. I love my home studio in Brickell. The community there is amazing. So I'm so happy with it. I feel like it was everything I needed and things I didn't even know I needed. So
Cool. So your 50th class, the Dry Try,
mhm.
and you're also hosting a workshop there.
I am. Yeah, the day before I'm hosting a workshop all about the mind-body connection and the way that our, body interacts with stress and why it's so important for us to kind of be mindful of stress and how we hold that in our body and essentially helping the participants of the workshop learn ways to sort of manage stress from the outside in and the inside out. So I'm super excited about it. I've been like really thinking about it all week and kind of having it evolve as I kind of like draw my own inspiration, especially in preparing for like this fitness event too. I just want to take a quick pause to tell you that Revive is hiring. In our Miami and Pittsburgh offices, we have full and part-time W-2 and 1099 clinician positions available, and this includes both postgraduate and associate level licenses, in addition to fully licensed clinicians. In our Connecticut offices, we have full-time, fully licensed W-2 clinician positions available, including clinical supervisor opportunities. If you are interested in working for a company that values community, work-life balance, and your personal and professional growth, then we want to meet you. Find a link to our website in our bio. So thank you for the longer check-in. Listeners, I hope I hope you're still with us. So let's transition. I mean, like as I'm talking about fitness, it's so for me tied to my health and well-being, but like so is what we're talking about today. And as you previewed it for us at the top of the episode, like taking care of ourselves in terms of making doctor's appointments and keeping them keeping consistency with them and I guess I know this was a topic that we had kind of put on the list of things that we felt like were important to talk about. And I guess for you, like, why do you feel like this is something that is worth like at the time to talk about, and for our listeners to maybe think more about?
Well, I think it's funny, like you said, it was put on a list, kind
Mhm,
of just like making these appointments just get put on a list and then we don't get to them. Like
mhm,
we put it on the list and we finally got to it. Just like people eventually get to making their appointments.
mhm,
Um, I, I think it's just one of those parts about our health, our well being that we don't think about unless something's wrong. And so we often just kind of let it go and we don't think about it under this big umbrella of health. We're just kind of like do either just like do it to do it or we forget about it for a really long
Mhm.
time.
Mhm. Mhm. Right, and I think your point around, like, when most of us tend to seek medical attention, it's because there's a problem. There's, like, a need that we have rather than it being more proactive and in maintaining health, not just caring about our health when something goes wrong or when we feel off.
Right, right. And I think there are some appointments that people are a little more like apt to saying like, yeah, yeah, I'll go to my annual gynecologist appointment or I'll go to my weekly physical therapy. Like people will like kind of latch on to these things that are kind of easier to do and just kind of like easier to commit to than these bigger ones or like these ones that like maybe are a little more like scary to go to or
Mm.
just intimidating in some way.
Mhm.
And I mean, the two that I just mentioned, those might be the ones that are more intimidating to other people. So it kind of just depends on the person. It depends on like what's going on for you.
Mhm. Mhm. Right. Well, and so I guess essentially why I feel like we often ask this question, like, so why should we care about this? Like, why does this matter in terms of making appointments and keeping regular appointments? Why does it matter so much and how is it beneficial?
I mean, like you said, in a proactive sense, if you're going for these regular checkups, these yearly appointments, then you're just kind of making sure everything's okay. You're going before something gets bad, something gets serious. Um, and you're seeing your health as your overall health as important as like as a huge priority.
Mhm.
And so you're sort of just like thinking about it more preventatively than
Mhm.
reactively.
Mhm. Right. The preventative, that was the word I was looking for before. The preventative care aspect of things, like an annual physical. And again, like I could go on and on about the way I can relate to this topic, but like if everything's okay, then like I don't need to go. And
Mhm.
we forget that it's helpful for a professional to sort of have eyes on us at least once a year so that they can sort of um, essentially monitor our progress. And it's so helpful to have information from year to year to see how things are changing or shifting, progressing or regressing. And if we don't have those regular wellness checks, essentially is now how they're referred to, that we miss out on a lot of information. And so something that might feel like a big ailment, today might have been something that was like a little something that could have been picked up on in a physical or in blood work or something from years previous.
Totally. I mean, think about all the it could be like blood work that somebody gets where they find out they're pre-diabetic.
Mhm.
Next year they're diabetic unless they had gotten the first ones and found out they're pre-diabetic and made those
Mhm.
lifestyle changes or, gotten on the right medication to keep them from getting there, then they've and now entered a more challenging, a more serious situation.
Sure. And even conversely, if someone has been on a treatment or a medication for a while, but maybe they're doing better and now they're on a dose or on a medication that they might not need or might not need as much of, and not having and so that's also not helpful and healthful for people too. So I think that's, yeah, having these like consistent check-in periods is really meaningful, as well as the more like specialized, I don't even know if this is the right language, but like the more specialized care, like you're saying, around OBGYN, dentist, optometrist, and then at a certain age, right, like um dermatologist, GI doctor, all of that stuff.
Right, right. No, absolutely. Full disclosure, I used our podcast episode as a way to keep me accountable to make my appointment.
Mm.
I have not been to the dentist. Also, full disclosure, and maybe somebody's gonna cringe. I have not been to the dentist since 2020.
Mhm.
And
I'm in
part of
this.
that is because I didn't have dental insurance. So I was like, man, I don't want to pay, man. But then it also was just like, my dentist doesn't live near me anymore. It's annoying to get to.
Yes.
Um, and so I just never did it. And then I used our episode as a way to make my dentist appointment and my eye doctor appointment,
Mm.
which
Well, I
I've
mean,
also never started it.
I also haven't been to the dentist since 2020. So I'm trying to think. It was sometime in the pandemic. So sometime
Yeah.
between 2020, 2021. And so you're not alone. I found a dentist and so I haven't made my appointment yet. She's checking my insurance. But like there's so many steps and so many of the reasons that I procrastinate in making appointments and and may align with others as well is I've had such negative and somewhat traumatic experiences in the medical world that it's like, oh, do I really want to put myself through that again? The last time I went to the dentist, I was getting a cavity filled or something, and I had a really bad reaction to the anesthesia where I had like lost consciousness while they were filling my teeth. And so they had to stop everything. And and it wasn't even that like fine, not fine, but like and I was very ill after and like vomited, all that stuff. But it wasn't that. That alone was like scary and unpleasant. But my dentist looked terrified. And that was like, oh, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel like you've got me. And granted, he's not like he's not meant to that's not his specialty is caring for someone who has you know, fainted or whatever, but like come on, like be the caregiver in the room. And so after that, I was like, okay, I have to find a new dentist. But then how to find a new dentist? I mean, I can the amount of experiences. I have a scar on my knee from when I had a physical and I was getting my blood drawn. They left me in the room and I passed out and fell off the table and like completely opened my knee up.
Oh
And
my
so
God.
I mean, again, the list goes on and on. And so like it's like I've not had a positive experience there like from these like kind of little t traumatic experiences. My body is experiencing them as traumas clearly. And so like that's one factor and like what contributes to my lack of eagerness to make an appointment. But like I think in general people have had not as pleasant experiences at the doctor. And so it's kind of like, well, if I don't have to go through that again, if I don't have to, then why would I put myself through that? And whether that's like feeling like your doctor was unsupportive or didn't listen to you, that's a huge thing. Or didn't have great bedside manner, or was like a little too prescriptive and or prescription happy. Like there are so many ways that I think people get turned off by like within their medical care that then adds to the procrastination of it all, on top of the fact that you're saying like, okay, an annual appointment is really hard to keep track of, or um just like the time frame, the scheduling of it all and when to fit it in general.
Right, right. Well, I did this. I kind of got us ahead to what keeps us
Oh,
what
sorry.
no. I kind of skipped us ahead to procrastination, but like I had a few other points to hit on um why making an appointment
Oh.
regularly could like
Mhm.
be helpful. One of them is um one of them is it just kind of gives us a peace of mind. Like
Mhm.
we talked about how if you go, you're getting that well check, you have that prevention. And like it just kind of gives us some confirmation sometimes that, okay, this like wasn't an issue, or oh, okay, nothing really is going on. Um, so there's like that. And then also, I don't know if this is like hugely relatable. I feel like it's kind of relatable to you, except maybe not after hearing your experiences. um, I like going to these appointments because I like learning something new. Like I'm the type of person that I'm gonna find a practitioner, just like you are looking for a new dentist or you found your new dentist. Like I'm gonna find a practitioner that aligns with me. I'm gonna
Mhm.
find somebody that I really like and that is like new age, like thinking like with a modern lens. And um, so I kind of get excited to learn something new from these people. And because I really do see that like hierarchy, right? Like which can we can
Mhm.
talk about later too, can kind of like not work in your favor sometimes. But sometimes it's great. Like when you find that right person, you're like, give me the knowledge, tell me the
Mhm.
stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
Then seeing that person and then them giving you tips on like lifestyle changes or just like things that could be going on is like really interesting to me. Like one example didn't even happen on purpose, but like when I was a kid, really little, like 7, I ruptured my spleen and I didn't end up having it taken out, but I had just like had only a little bit of spleen left over after the trauma. And I didn't know until I saw this OBGYN like in my 20s, like early 20s, found out that from this OBGYN, she was like, um, did you know like you're supposed to be supplementing with blah 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 if you don't have a spleen? And I was like, what? Like, this is the first that I've heard of that. This is
Mhm.
really interesting. And she was like, hang on, like, let me look this up because I think that I remember something from med school about this. And like, it was cool because she actually, like, one, she doubted herself, which was cool
Mm.
because sometimes that hierarchical relationship, they just think that they know everything and sometimes they don't. So she took that one down and she was like, I'm not sure if I do know everything here. And she turned her computer, she looked it up and found what it was. And that was a really interesting experience. I liked how there was something that I could gain from going to the doctor other than just like, "Oh god, tell me, like, everything that I'm doing wrong," or, like,
Mhm.
"Tell me everything that I could be doing that I'm not doing," kind of thing.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and yeah, seeing the like medical provider as a resource, I
Mhm.
think we've kind of lost that in a sense. I think as you're saying, like it's almost become a little bit too authoritative, or maybe at times it feels authoritarian in like they're the like they know everything and what they say goes and we need to trust them, and 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 it doesn't, so therefore it doesn't feel as collaborative or that there's an opportunity for that. And that
Mhm.
might also be like, it sounds like you spend the time to actually a look for providers that are a good fit for you. I think that's unique. um
Maybe.
because I think that some people are like, I'm going to take whatever I can get, or like, again, like what's the simplest way for me to like get this done. I think that some people don't even realize that they have a choice, or even know like what questions to ask, or that they can. And we even see that as therapists, right? Like that our clients don't know that they can ask us about our background, but also that if it doesn't feel like a good fit, that they can ask to be switched or just discontinue and find somebody else. I think that that goes to that hierarchy, man in a white coat kind of
Mhm.
idea that we just defer to authority. And so I think that would probably motivate people to keep their appointments if they actually liked and felt cared for by their doctor. But I think that's more rare than we imagine. But what you're talking about is reminding me of um old school days, or even like what medicine was intentionally originally intended to be, which is like a lot more of a partnership in some way, or having a relationship with your provider. And I don't think that that's the case
Well, it's not the
often.
case for so many reasons. And you're right. I think a lot of people aren't looking for that when they go, and maybe they're not looking for that because of time or because like they don't care or because they just aren't sure that it exists.
Mhm.
And sometimes it just doesn't exist because of just the way that our healthcare system is built right now with insurance and with the capacity that these doctors are able to or like the amount of like patients that the doctors have to see during the day, and maybe you are only seeing the doctor for like 5 minutes and that's because they have to get to the next person or else like
Yeah.
they don't make a living.
Mhm.
Like this idea of being a doctor nowadays is not as thought sought after as it once was because
Right.
well that could be another
Right, right. No, for sure. Yeah, but there are so many reasons. I mean, for most insurance plans, if someone is um has the means to have insurance, like the annual physical, the annual wellness check is typically covered majority by their insurer. And so that's for a reason. It's that it's, preventative care. Well, it's less expensive, of course, to care for a well person than a sick person. And so that's why we're being incentivized to go regularly. But like it helps to remove, for again, most people, not all people, helps to remove a big barrier for us going, and also does again place a value on remaining well. Like and so keeping these annual visits helps us hopefully spot something before it becomes a big issue, and like we're set up for success in some ways around maintaining at least that. So I feel like universally speaking, this is one of those things where like we all know on some level that it's important to keep some consistency, keep some connection to a medicating doctor. And yet so many people procrastinate for like many, many, many reasons. And so like in addition to things that we've sort of alluded to already, like what do you see or think gets in the way of people making these appointments, keeping these appointments?
Um, well, I'm thinking about a lot of the like specialties that are out
Mhm.
there, like specialties that some people might need. Like let's say they've gone to their PCP and then their PCP has now referred them to a neurologist, a gastroenterologist, a dermatologist. That there's then this kind of like internal judgment that might arise. Um, that's sort of like, if I go to blank, if I go to the gastroenterologist, it means blank about me. Like it really puts, well, it's two parts. It kind of like puts something into reality that maybe
Mhm.
somebody is kind of like in denial of, and then
Mhm.
it also kind of might make somebody believe something about themselves, or make somebody believe that other people are going to think something about themselves, like therapy,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Like there used to be and still is, but like lesser so now, this idea that, oh, if I go to therapy, it means I'm crazy. If I like somebody's gonna think I'm nuts. And so like there's this underlying judgment there. And then there's also this other idea of like, ooh, now if I do it, then I'm really doing it. I'm in it and I believe it. Now I know it's true.
Mhm.
It's both of those things.
Yes, like there is a little bit of ignorance is bliss
Yes.
that comes into play. And I see this. My mom is a really good example of this. My mom is someone who is of a particular generation of sun worshiping, baby slathering on the baby oil when going out in the sun, and she's been doing this since she was a child, and she actually just turned 70 this week. Shout out to
Happy to be
her.
here.
Happy birthday. Um, it's she has clear like sun damage and sunspots, and we've been begging her to go to the dermatologist, and she's like, "What for? I don't want to know." And like
Damn.
if it's here, all right, it's here. And so like there is a lot, there's, and it's not, it's avoidance, and it's so counterintuitive because if especially with most skin stuff, like it is treatable.
Mhm.
But it's more comfortable for her to not know. Even if there is a problem, she would not know rather than know there's a problem and then have to do something about it. And I think that's such a again common experience of ignorance is bliss. I speaking of specialty appointments, this is my layered response. So when you turn 35, that is the age that you are now recommended to begin getting a mammogram. And so between the ages of 35 and 40, you should have at least one mammogram. And then when you're 40 and above, then you have them annually recommended. I have had this slip to get a mammogram for a couple of years now, and I have not made my appointment. And again, it's like, and I think I have like, I think it's going to hurt. I'm scared of what I'll learn. Like when I get a breast exam, I like get so anxious and like to the point where I feel faint. Apparently I pass out a lot.
Yeah, you
Um,
do. Wow.
I should see a doctor about that. But like, I think that that is also like the unknown of like, what's it going to be like? What's it going to feel like? What are they going to do? How long is it going to take?
Mhm.
And what am I going to learn?
Well, and there's that added like that there's that added sense of time that's
Mhm.
like, well, now I haven't done it in 1 year. Well, now I haven't done it in 2 years.
I
Well, now I haven't done it
know.
like, it's now, like,
Well,
it just builds and builds and builds.
well, add on to that. Okay, so add another layer. So I got my first prescription for a mammogram last year. And I was supposed to have an OBGYN visit, I don't know, in March or something, which I had to cancel anyway because I was in Miami. But one of the big reasons that I was happy to cancel is because I still haven't done the mammogram. And so I felt like I don't want to go back to my doctor and say that I haven't done it when because he's going to ask me. And so I'm
Ooh.
now avoiding two things um, for the price of one.
That's like, wow, a lot of reasons why people cancel a therapy appointment. They like didn't do their homework and like feel
Exactly.
bad about reporting that they didn't,
Mhm.
they didn't get it done.
Right. Well, and again, I don't think my experience is so unique, right, to others, but along with that is this like having the authority figure, and my own stuff gets tied in, right, of disappointing authority and what that might mean and all of that stuff. And so I think there's so from in my mind there are so many reasons to not go that are like layered in what I'm describing, but also time, money, energy, the wait in a doctor's office, like how long am I going to have to wait to be seen?
Oh my God, that was a huge one that I wanted to talk about.
Mhm.
Like the waiting room experience.
Awful.
Ooh, no one likes that.
Mm-mm.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I'm like getting uncomfortable thinking about it. The paperwork, the people at the front desk sometimes are rude. Then like finding parking and like getting there on time and then like sitting in those chairs that are all made of the same material, like that kind of scratch up your leg a little bit, or they're like that other like gross leathery, like pleathery kind of thing. And like, I don't like any of it. Or like people are sick around you and you don't want to be around them because like they have a cold and you're just like, ugh, get away.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Yeah, all of that. Yeah, the waiting room experience is so unpleasant, and it's really also hard to plan for because it's rare in, again, the general setting that again, we're talking mostly about PCP settings, but like that you're going to be seen at the time of your appointment. Like you're usually
Ooh, that's the
at
miracle
least
appointment right there.
what 20 minutes in the waiting room, and then you get shuffled into a room where someone takes your vitals, and then you wait some more, and it's just
And the
like
waiting wouldn't be so terrible if they had service. None of these waiting rooms have service. And you're not going to pick up those outdated magazines anymore. You want to look at your phone
mhm,
and or maybe you were smart and brought a book. That's what people should do. That's take note. That's what I'm going to do. But like you want to look at your phone and you want to scroll Instagram when you're
mhm,
waiting in the waiting room, but there's
mhm.
no service.
Yes. 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 I don't know why it's like that. We do get compliments on our waiting room at Revive, I have to say. I just heard one this morning.
There's service there. There's free Wi-Fi and service. And everyone's nice because they're therapists.
Yes, that's right. That's right. But there are all these like, like roadblocks and deterrents before you even get there. Like we've identified a lot, right? Like finding a provider that you like. Okay, so now you found the provider. Then like figuring out when to schedule it because you have to estimate triple the time of the appointment in order to have it. And then you
Because
get
they're all
there.
booked up.
Yes, yeah. And then however much the amount of money is that you have to pay for it, and then potentially ask for time off, or like there's so many, even just get leading up to making the appointment, like really convenient reasons to not go through with it. And then the experience of being with a doctor in and of itself that can be cause for unpleasant experience where you don't want to repeat it again. And I find that a lot of people, don't necessarily have my exact experience, but advocating for yourself around your symptoms with a doctor is intimidating, and it can feel frustrating to not be listened to, or taken seriously. And I find that again is another reason that I hear people say like, why am I going to go if they're not going to listen to me anyway? Or again, I guess a lot of this apple doesn't fall far from the tree here. My mom had a high fever for days, and I was like, go to the doctor. And like, what are they going to do for me there? Like, what are they going to do for me? And I think that there's like that experience, that reaction I hear myself saying that too, of like, what's this going to do for me? How's this going to help me in this moment, my future self? Like, I just can't, I can rationalize all sorts of reasons to not go.
Mm. Did you just have a moment where you figured something out?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I was like, it is all coming together because I was hearing myself, my own self-talk. I was like, oh, there, that's, it all made sense. It just gelled.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, there's that idea of like, what are they going to do for me? But I think it like almost overpowers, or like it's kind of just a mask again for like that idea, that like that even bigger idea of being afraid of what they're going to say.
Mhm.
And like our country is not in the best health. Like we have sick care for a reason, because more and more people are just not on the right health path. You know, they're not quote unquote living their best life like internally. And
Mhm.
so they're afraid to get to these appointments and really find out what like drastic changes that they might have to make.
Yeah. Well, and I think like it, as you were saying that, it was making me think of our episode from, gosh, a while back, when we talked with Jack, and we were kind of talking about how essentially comfortable people have gotten not feeling great. Like they've sort of just accepted like not feeling optimal, or like not feeling at their fullest, the fullest extent of their health, that we've kind of just accepted like
Oh,
the
I've
stomach
turned
ache.
30. Oh, I've turned
Yeah.
40. Oh, this is what happens when I turn 50. Like now I'm
Yeah.
supposed to feel the aches and pains, and yeah.
So I think that that again adds to it too. Something that you were saying was making me think of that, that like like we're not allowing ourselves to tap into like our full health here.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. You know, another thing I was thinking about as far as like why we're not prioritizing, it could be like prioritizing others. Like you, for instance, you're thinking about your mom and her getting to her appointments. Like I've had the same experience with my parents. You know, definitely my dad, and making sure he gets to his appointments. He like was, you know, in that same kind of grouping as like putting off, putting off, putting off. And he ended up having prostate cancer and didn't know about it. And it, he's okay, but and you know that, but listeners, in case you're curious, um, like he's okay now, but it was really scary at a time when prostate cancer is something that's like really, really treatable, but it wasn't caught when it should have been caught. So it turned out to be way more complicated and way more serious.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think that there's like also this idea of like youth, and like the idea of youth kind of gets pushed and pushed with yourself at like a certain age too. Like as much as we think about, oh, like now I'm at this age, like I'm supposed to feel aches and pains, like we also kind of have this other narrative of like 30 is the new 20, and like we should feel great, like we're fine, like it's our parents that we need to worry about, it's like the older generation that we need to worry about, like we can worry about all our stuff later. But as we're also saying, like we need to be preventative, we need to be proactive about all of this,
Yeah.
so that when we become our parents, that we don't actually become our parents.
Yeah, it's so true. But I think as you're saying this, it's like we as a society have a problem with aging. I know you were talking about turning 30 and having wrinkles and stuff like that, and I relate to that. But I think the other piece too is like so many of these, again, more specialized care appointments are associated with age milestones. And so they're also a reminder that we are getting older. It reminds us of our own mortality. Like I said, the 40-year old now annual mammogram, having to go to get colonoscopies, especially for men, at a certain age, that we don't want to be reminded of our own mortality. We don't want to be reminded that we're aging. And I think that that's another piece of it, of like the, like if I close my eyes and cover my ears, like maybe none of this will happen.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, and then there's like the prioritizing youth that's not you. Like I prioritize my daughter's doctor's appointments
Yeah.
because since she's a baby, she has to go like almost every month. But then also like sick visits. Like she had this weird eye thing yesterday. This literally happened. Like me making my dentist appointment, my eye appointment, and like her actually needing to go to the doctor for a sick visit all happened at like perfect time for this episode. She's fine. But I was freaking out yesterday because her eye was all red. It was like teary. I'm like, oh my God, she has like pink eye. What is this? Like, I'm freaking out. I've never dealt with a baby before, before 6 months ago. So like, what am I supposed to do here? I ended up canceling I've been going to pelvic floor
Mm.
PT since I don't know, for the last like few months, but like, I ended up canceling my appointment so that I could take her to her sick walk-in visit, which like, of course I'm happy to do. Like she needed it and I can put my thing off, but like, will I reschedule that appointment?
Mhm.
Yes, only because I bought a package and need to finish it. But like, if I didn't, no,
Mhm.
I'd be done. I'd be
Mhm.
like, nope,
Mhm.
daughter took priority. Ooh, it's been a couple weeks. I'm good. I'm okay. I don't need to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and as you're saying, like kind of the barbells of it, like we are like wanting to make sure that our parents, our elders are getting what they need and our kids are getting what they need, but like we're somewhere in the middle. Like we clearly value the importance, but not enough to add ourselves into the mix. Like the way that I encourage my parents to go to the doctor, you would think I'm all about going to the doctor. It's just it's not.
Totally. Right. It's so much easier to give advice than to take your own advice.
Hmm. Hmm. For sure.
Yikes.
Okay, so again, as we said a few minutes ago, like we all know on some level, we can all agree that it's important that we do this. And so how do we take the next step of like actually following through and at least keeping our well visit or like the real necessary appointments we need to remain well?
Well, I think it all starts with rewriting our idea of what it means to go. If we grouped it in, or not necessarily we, I mean, you and I, yes, we, because we both like to move our bodies, we both like to eat well. Like if you're in that group that is doing those things, but not making your well check visits, then like you need to start grouping in those well check visits with the nutrition, with the working out, because if you think of it in the same way, like I have to get to my workout because X, Y, and Z, I have to, you know, create this meal or like order this meal service, whatever it is, like order this at the whatever. That like if you're thinking that way about those two pillars of your life, then like you're needing to also kind of work in the well check visit with that too.
Hmm. 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 Yeah. So like placing the the same importance on it as you do these other aspects of taking care of your physical well-being. Like I think that
Right, right. The
that's
importance and like the almost like if you're not the person that works out regularly or like that's not a huge priority for you, or you're not the person that is focused so much on their nutrition, like what is it that you are so focused on when it comes to your health? Maybe it's your journaling practice. Maybe it is your therapy. Like maybe it's something else that you're doing in your life that you are making a big deal out of and that
Mhm.
you are sticking to. And look underneath there a little bit as far as like what do I get out of this and what is something here that I can kind of replicate in terms of like getting myself to the doctor.
Mhm.
How can the two become kind of like equals when it comes to my health?
Mhm. Right. So trying to figure out a way to um shift the perceived importance like of it. And I also, where I thought you were going, because I was also thinking about what you were sharing in your self care around like skincare, like, and so like again, if it's not if you're not an Orange Theory goer like me or whatever, like, but there's some, as you're saying, other aspect of your health that you're taking care of. Also, why? Like, why is it so important for you? Like, kind of digging deeper into the why and to the value. It's like from our values episode again a while back, like why are we doing the things that we're doing and how might like and how does that illuminate what's important to us truly, and how might going to the doctor support that as well. And so like if for example like you are a parent like similar to the situation Catherine just described, like you have parents who are aging and you are caring for a growing human, like it and like it is such a importance to be well in order to still remain in good care for the people that you care about. And so like trying to find other ways that you can frame this as an opportunity to do the things that you want to do more.
Mhm. Yeah,
Was that linear?
I got it.
Okay.
I think we're talking a lot about the broader, like, how do I rewrite this narrative around going to the doctor so that I can then prioritize it? Like, maybe more simply, make the appointment at your last appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it sounds funky to do it a year from now, but like we have these devices where you can input it on your phone as a reminder. And
Mm-hmm.
like, Amy, I've become a digital planner person. I use my Google
Whoa.
Calendar now.
Wow.
Cringe. But like I do it and it works. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
I plan things like far, far in advance because I don't have to like write it in anywhere. But like just make it at the last appointment. And
Yeah.
then it's kind of off your hands. It's almost like it happened automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then kind of going with that, like if you haven't had an appointment, so you don't have that appointment to then make the next appointment, carve out a day, carve out an evening, because a lot of these things you can do them online now. You don't have to actually call to office
Mm-hmm.
hours, but it's really convenient now to request an appointment on some online portal or like online inboxing
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
carve out an evening where you're just going to take 10 minutes to make your dentist appointment, make your eye appointment, make your, PCP appointment, whatever,
Right.
so that it just gets grouped in together. And then again, it's kind of another like, don't have to think about it.
Yeah. Set it and forget it kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, making the appointment at your current appointment, making the next appointment at your current appointment, I think is great. And I think, one thing that I've heard people do, and myself as I prepared for this episode, this episode has been so the prep and discussion of this has been so cathartic for me. And so I wanted to share about that too as a way to kind of get started, which is to really kind of think about what are your barriers
Mhm.
to making appointments. Like I said, I have some light traumatic experiences with doctors or offices, and so that's something I can talk about in therapy. But I've also, if one of the things that you like has gotten in the way of you making the next appointment is you don't like your doctor, like, okay, I'm gonna say simply find a new doctor, but more like ask your friends, like, who do you see? Um, do you like them and why? And when I was looking for a doctor earlier this year, those were like the three questions I asked our Revive team, and I got the same doctor three times from three separate
Oh,
people. So that was a good
awesome.
recommendation. But kind of the word of mouth referrals are helpful, and asking why they like the doctor could also give you a sense of what you're looking for and not. Like I had someone say, similar to what you had said, like they're really hands on with their patients. And that's great. I've had someone say, like, the doctor's office is really nice. And the waiting room is nice. Like it's a nice vibe. And so kind of using your support network as a resource could be helpful. For other people, they've said, like, I feel like my doctor doesn't listen to me. And then there are ways to kind of okay, so like make a list of what it is that you want to talk to your doctor about. Whether it's, I have one client who's so resourceful, puts it in her chart ahead of time, and then like is able to feel a little bit more confident in saying, like, these are the things that have been coming up for me. I want to make sure that we talk about them. And so there are ways to kind of address some of the barriers that are making you feel uneasy or avoidant of going. And so really reflect on what gets in the way of you making and keeping appointments, and then see if there's anything that you can do to address those barriers.
Amazing. Yeah, I really like that one
Mm-hmm.
to put in the questions. It's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. That also like takes out some of the intimidation factor of like, okay, now I'm at the appointment and now I actually have to ask it. Like, I wrote it in the chart. Can you just refer to
Yes.
it?
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. And she'll like print it out or like have it on her phone or whatever. Because sometimes like when you get in there, you're like,
Yeah. Yeah. Frees up a bit. Yeah, definitely. Every single time. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, I'm gonna ask this. And then I get in and I'm like,
Yeah.
and then I forgot everything.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Well, we've addressed some reasons why people are not making appointments, including
Mhm.
you and I, and some reasons why you should be going, why it's related to your health. And hopefully we've touched on some hopefully we've given you some kind of advice or tips on how to actually get you through the door.
Yeah, yeah. I guess my parting thought here is like to try not to be a victim in your own health and wellness experience. And it's really easy to be in that role, especially with the way our system is set up, or especially from the Western medicine perspective. And so, like, to try to take more ownership and empower yourself in your like medical journey so that you can be well and feel good. And yeah, like we definitely started the conversation here, and it is a bigger conversation overall, but like try to use this as an opportunity to feel empowered as it relates to your health, rather than feeling like victimized by the system.
That's a really great last point. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm speaking to
Don't
myself.
pause.
Okay. All right. So we'll certainly be back with more here on Wishing You Well. But as always, please be sure to follow along with us, rate, review, subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can also check out the video version of this podcast on our YouTube channel, Revive Center for Wellness. You can follow us on Instagram at Revive CFW. You can follow me at Amy Albero LCSW. You can follow Catherine at Catherine Van Eyck. Visit our website, revivecfw.com, and email us at wishingyouvell@revivecfw.com for any feedback, suggestions, guest suggestions, and more. But until next time, we are wishing you well.